Over 110 years ago, the first Elon student athletes stepped onto the field. There were no records of their names, no story of their season. For years, the nameless athletes played on, passing under the radar with no trace of their exploits. But one ambitious student changed all of that. For nearly 6 decades now, Reverend Jim Waggoner has held the role of Elon's sports historian, researching and recording anything and everything in Elon Athletics.
I caught the Elon spirit the first time I ever set foot on its campus. And I made a commitment to Elon, and that is that I would do something for Elon every day.
But the Phoenix weren't his first love. I had a chance to sit down with the Reverend to discuss life before Elon.
Would you say that growing up you had a dream job?
Oh, absolutely. When I was 5 years old, I was taking dancing lessons, and dancing I wanted to be in show business. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to go to Hollywood. And I wanted to become a Fred Astaire. So that was what it was all about for me up until I was 17. Then I felt a call to ministry. So I answered that call and retired as a minister. So,
growing up loving dance and getting into ministry and those types of things, what brought you to Elon and brought you to the athletics department here?
Well, I was singing in a college quartet in another college, and we had a layover or stopover in Burlington at a Baptist church. And it was a good week. And after the week was over, we kind of clicked, the congregation and me. And they asked if I'd come back the next summer. And so I did. And when I completed that summer, getting ready to go back to school, they said, why don't you transfer to Elon? Go over there before you make a decision to go back. And I came to Elon, and it was one of the best days of my life.
So what brought you into sort of the sports world at Elon?
Well, as editor-in-chief of the Maroon and Gold, I was always looking for feature articles. And Luther Bird, who was the sponsor and kind of the head man, said, why don't you do an article on the history of basketball? So I started researching and doing some things, and I was having a struggle because there was nothing to go on except an annual or an old Maroon and Gold or something like that. And so I realized that Elon really had no sports history recorded. And so Luther challenged me to become that person.
But becoming that person was no easy task. Because of a 1923 fire that burned down Elon's administration building and all of the records housed in it, Reverend Waggoner has found unique ways to track down some of the oldest athletic records.
And so I realized then that if I were going to do this first article on basketball, which was 3 chapters, then I was going to have to do some research. And so I traveled over a few schools and then did a lot of research with microfilms and other, just making telephone calls and so forth. And finally was able to put together the history of basketball up until that point. And then after that, I knew that that was the pattern already established for any other thing I would do.
Another great source was former athletes themselves.
I'm actually gathering data, information, clippings or whatever, from the actual people who played in the teams or whatever. Without them, I could not have done some of the things or known where to go. Or what did it look like? Or what did your uniform look like? And then try to find a picture of that. And luckily you could find one. Sometimes they would have it. But when you think of getting the records and all, that's how you do it, because some of these people would give me scorebooks. They would give me clippings. They would give me information that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So because I did that to me was very interesting.
And over the years of research, there are occasional moments that stand out above the rest.
George Wooten was playing for Elon. He's one of our All-Americans, and he was a quarterback, and he was also a defensive back. And we were playing at homecoming, Catawba. And Catawba was beating us 12-7 with about 15 seconds left in the game. And the Elon fans had left the stadium, but basically there were very few people there. And the Catawba coach decided to rub it in. he had a first down on the 11-yard line, I believe it was. And all he had to do is take a play or two, or just take a knee, whatever. And he sent in his field goal kicker. Let's make it 15-7. Just their homecoming. Let's make it a big day. So the kicker doesn't get a good piece of the ball. Now that means that field goal becomes, in essence, a punt. George Wooten caught it 8 yards in the end zone and ran it back 108 yards for a touchdown. To no applause, hardly. I was sitting in the press box there at Burlington Stadium. And I'm going to tell you one thing. You talk about excitement. And whoever was there was screaming. But that's probably my prize moment. I don't think of any moment that was any more exciting than George Wooten taking that ball back.
And it is just those moments that keep Reverend Waggoner coming back season after season.
It's a real passion for me. It's quite a nice girlfriend to have. If you're going to have a girlfriend, this is one to have, you know. And it's been a good relationship, and we've never talked about divorce or anything like that. We've never separated.